For the past couple of months, people have been discussing prizing in Yu-Gi-Oh! And how in other games you get more value for topping an event like cash prizes compared to here where you just get a rubber mat, a switch, as well as a boring vanilla monster. And whenever cash prizing is brought up, it's always shut down with the response that Yu-Gi-Oh's creator Kazuki Takahashi said that he didn't want cash prizes for tournaments. However, the main problem I've seen people have with this response is that no source backs this claim up. To this day, there is no direct quote from Takahashi himself saying this, and the main source people keep using has a glaring hole in it. So I decided to do some research myself and see where exactly this came from, and I think I found something that could shed some light on this case. Before you ask, I'll just say it. I did not find a direct quote from Takahashi himself, but I did find some other things that you might find compelling. So let's get into the video, shall we? Okay, before I present my findings, there are two things I need to tell you about. First, we need to look at the main source that most people keep referencing, and that's the TV Tropes article. It explains why Takahashi doesn't want cash prizes. However, there is one issue with this article. There is no source for this information. The TV Tropes article provides no physical evidence of Takahashi saying this. No interview, no written source, nothing. It's hard to determine whether this information is valid or not if no source backs it up. I believe this led to the confusion we're seeing with this whole situation. Another thing I want to point out with this article is that this information was not added until 2016. I plugged this article into the Wayback Machine and it appears that the article was written in 2012, but when I flipped through the years, that part of the article didn't show up until 2016. So we need to find information that predates this article. Alright, so the information I gathered was from Pojo, and for those who don't know what Pojo is, just to give a quick recap, it's basically the Yu-Gi-Oh version of Twitter before Twitter. The people I'm referencing are two Konami employees who were technically Upper Deck employees at the time, but for the sake of the video, we'll refer to them as Konami Employees to avoid confusion. These two provide insight into the cash prize debate that people started to bring up in 2005, as that's close to when the Shonen Jump circuit started. So when I looked through 2005 and any discussions on cash prizes, most people did not bring up the Takahashi reason. A lot of people I found were just speculating, like the one you see on screen. However, there is one user I found who did bring up the Takahashi reason, but it wasn't because they themselves thought of it. It was because an Upper Deck employee told them when they were at an event. Now yes, I do know they say that their memory is fuzzy on the exact thing that was said, but this post doesn't deny that this information came from an Upper Deck employee. It wasn't until later on in 2006 when the former head of Konami R&D, Kevin Tewart, spoke out on one of these cash prize discussions and said Shueisha and Mr. Takahashi would never agree to giving out cash prizes. He said something similar to this in 2007 as well, when he said that Mr. Takahashi considers it vulgar giving out money for a card game. And after he said these things, everyone else started giving out these same statements whenever cash prizes were brought up. This information predates the TV Tropes article, showing that this statement was given the moment Yu-Gi-Oh's competitive circuit began. Now, I will say that if anyone else plans to research this, you will find Kevin Tewart saying other things about cash prizes, as it entices more cheating, so it might sound like he's making stuff up or something, but I think that's just his bias on cash prizing, as Kevin himself wasn't the most professional when communicating with the player base, so just a heads up in case you want to research this yourself. As for the second person, unlike Kevin, their answer stays consistent throughout every cash prize discussion, and that person is the head judge of Konami, Julia Hedberg. Whenever cash prize is brought up, she mentions how their license with Shueisha, the real owners of the Yu-Gi-Oh IP, won't allow it. And I should mention that this extends to gift cards, vouchers, and other cash related things. So it's not just Takahashi's word that prevents cash prizes, but both Kevin and Julia show that their licensing with Shueisha forbids them from doing anything cash related. Now, some might think after seeing this that this might not be Takahashi's wish and that it's mostly Shueisha preventing cash prizes, but that's not entirely true. I did find a statement from Julia when someone directly asked her if Takahashi has anything to do with no cash prizes, and while Julia doesn't give a direct yes or no answer, she does say that the IP's creator does have input with how people use it. This might sound confusing, but the reason I'm bringing up her statements alongside Kevin's is that I believe both of them show how this could still be Takahashi's wish, and that he asked for this to be in Shueisha's licensing agreement when letting Konami handle the card game. Julia never denies that this is not Takahashi's wish, but she doesn't say it outright unlike Kevin. Regardless, when you look at their statements involving Shueisha and Takahashi, they do draw some similarities. And when you combine their statements alongside the user from 2005, they all led me to believe that this whole Takahashi doesn't like cash prizes statement that people keep bringing up came from Konami themselves, and it's not an actual quote from Takahashi himself. Now, that's not to say that Takahashi never said anything. Maybe there is an interview with him regarding cash prizes. However, there are two things I think we should consider. Number one, we haven't found this interview or quote that the TV Tropes article brings up. And number two, if he did say something in an interview, it must have been a long time ago and maybe it got deleted. Remember, this is the 2000s internet we're talking about. Back then, people didn't archive stuff compared to how it is nowadays, so it's possible that Takahashi did say something regarding cash prizes. But at the end of the day, these are just my findings on this whole situation. I'm not saying that Yu-Gi-Oh should have cash prizes, I just wanted to find out where exactly this whole cash prize statement that everyone keeps bringing up came from. Maybe there's something I missed, but this is all the stuff that I could find when researching this. If you have anything on this subject, I'd love to hear it, but yeah, hopefully I shed some light on this situation, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave a like, and I'll see you around.